1st February 2023, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the last full union budget before 2024 elections. India's most awaited financial event comes in the midst of global slowdown, inflation, liquidity tightening, geopolitical tensions and re-emergence of COVID-19. Will India look to fire up its manufacturing? Will India build a moat against global uncertainties? What will the budget have for the middle class? Watch the complete coverage of Budget 2023. Real-time analysis, expert takes all day on Moneycontrol. Log on to www.moneycontrol.com for more.
Well, hello and welcome to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Morning Trade with me, Nandita Khemka. Well, over the next 30 minutes, we'll be talking about the global cues, the trade setup for today, as well as we will be getting all your queries answered from our experts on the show. But before that, let's take a look at the top headlines at this hour. Well, mixed cues coming in from Wall Street with the Dow falling over 400 points, snapping a 4-day winning streak. Big bank earnings weigh on equities, with Goldman Sachs reporting its worst earnings miss in a decade. Stocks in the Asia-Pacific open largely mixed ahead of Bank of Japan's interest rate decision has just come in, and they have maintained ultra-low interest rate despite market expectations of an increase in interest rates. The SGX Nifty, meanwhile, signals a mild positive start for the Indian markets. Consumer stocks in focus today. ITC to acquire yoga bar operator Sproutlife Foods. Amansa Holdings buys additional shares of V-Mart. Other stocks in the spotlight are RVNL, Coforge and Glenmark Pharma. Well, let's now get on board our expert for today. Gaurang Shah from Geojit Financial joins us now to discuss why the underlying tone of the market is still cautious. Good morning, Gaurang. After a few days of struggle, we managed to get past that 18,000 mark. And when you look at global cues, even on days when it's supportive, we've ended the day in the negative. But yesterday was a one-off and we managed to close above that 18,000 level. Do you expect markets to maintain that level going into budget?
Thank you, Nandita, and morning to everyone. So the view on the market is that, first of all, it's really good to see that we are going into the budget with not so much of higher levels in expectation, because even a little bit of negative otherwise would have proven quite dangerous for the market. So it's good to see that we are going light into the budget and with low expectation. 18,150, 18,200 on the higher side looks to be the near-term top level, if you ask me. And 17,800, Nandita, looks to be a very strong support. And this 17,800 is more significant because we saw those levels in September 2022. Then we again revisited 17,800 in October 2022, then in December 2022. And in Jan, we've been there a couple of times, the beginning of Jan. So let's hope that we maintain the sacrosanct level of 17,800, wherein we've been able to bounce back from those levels. And on the higher side, I think 18,200 looks to be a top zone. Now, the reason why we are trading in this zone is, Nandita, because we have Q3 earnings season unfolding. Whatever we've seen up till now looks to be in line with expectation or better than that, especially for the IT pack and the budget and the Qs. So, the longer time we spend consolidating in this zone of 17,800 and 18,150, 18,200, I think the stronger base we make so that we are able to withstand the next up move on the sensex and Nifty and stay over there. That is more important. Whether we make a top or not is not so important. Whether we are able to maintain ourselves at those elevated levels is more significant. So I think we spend more time, stronger base we make, and then if the Honorable Finance Minister have something positive or a little bit positive and the Q3 earning gives you a tailwind support, then I think it's going to be very easy for us to maintain those elevated levels.
Sure, all eyes on budget and of course the third quarter earnings season that is unfolding. Gaurang, since you mentioned the IT earnings, just want to get in your view on which of the big four stands out after the third quarter performance. The commentary from TCS was not all that bad. They expect demand in fact, they've said that demand is intact. Europe is a spot of bother, but they are fairly upbeat on US still. And given the fact that Infosys has also increased its revenue guidance, which among the four you think is best poised after the Q3 performance?
Well, this is like caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, to be very honest with you, Nandita, because we have a positive coverage and buy on all four of them. And, we spoke about IT even earlier in this show, and we maintained a positive stance even when the rest of the world, especially on the technical side, a lot of people were underweight. Even fundamentally, some of the analysts were concerned about the numbers that IT sector delivered this financial year during the first and second quarter. And now that we're seeing the third quarter numbers, whatever we've seen up till now, and let's hope that remaining pack in the IT universe delivers in-line expectation or slightly better. And there is not any huge disappointment. And let me tell you this, Nandita, if IT sector performs on the Q3 front, then the earlier pressure that was building up on the Nifty and Sensex because of the index weightage, IT weightage, that gets lifted off. So there again, there is a positivity. So amongst all the four, well, if you have 100 rupees to invest, if you ask me, I can't be biased towards any one or two of them. I would say that break that 100 into four parts and put 25 in all four. 25 each, that is.
Sure, Gaurang is finding it difficult to choose one out of the pack. But moving on to some of these recently listed stocks, we saw Nykaa hitting a record low. But a lot of these mutual funds have started buying into some of these companies. We saw mutual funds lapping up shares of K Fintech as well as Sula Vineyards. Would you advise buying into any of these recently listed companies, given the fact that they have come off quite significantly from their listing price? So what is the outlook on some of these listed companies going forward? Also, Paytm, on the sidelines of Davos, the Paytm CEO Vijay Shekhar Sharma has said that in fact the company could get on the path of profitability much before September 2023 as well. So what is your outlook on some of these recently listed companies?
Well, first of all, I think top representatives of the management should refrain from making any kind of aggressive forward-looking statements. This is my personal view also, Nandita. You have to concentrate on business and let the company do what it has to do and let the market discover the price that it has to discover for your company. We've also seen some of these companies, doing things which are totally out of the woods. Giving out bonuses, etc., trying to maintain the price of that company. I think it's highly unacceptable, and I personally feel it is better to concentrate on your work and perform your duties according to what is expected out of you, rather than trying to maintain or pop up your share prices. Market has enough wisdom to do that. You don't need to waste your time over there. You can invest your time into creating better work environment and better business opportunities. Having said that, out of the three names that you mentioned, Paytm is the only one that we recently started our coverage. In fact, when the IPOs were there, we were extremely concerned with the valuation because of the methodology that is used. And the unicorn or new age companies don't have any set of rules which one can follow, like we use in manufacturing or services sector. So this is very difficult, Nandita. And I would say that aping somebody and doing what somebody else is doing is not going to make you earn profits in the stock market. You have to use your own wisdom and implement it according to your understanding, depending upon what kind of risk appetite you have. So other than Paytm, I will not comment on the rest of the two. I will only say that you don't have to ape anybody. Don't try to copy paste anybody. Do your own research, understanding, and then possibly decide whether you want to invest or not. And just because somebody XYZ has bought, not necessarily you have to jump into the bandwagon.
Right. Use your own wisdom when it comes to investing in some of these recently listed companies. With that, Gaurang, thanks a lot for joining us this morning and sharing your thoughts with us. Moving on, let's also get on board our technical expert for today. Shrikant Chauhan joins in from Kotak Securities. Good morning, Shrikant. Good to have you on the show. Mixed cues coming in from global markets. We've managed to hold on to the 18,000 mark. What are the kind of levels you're watching out for on the Nifty as well as the Bank Nifty for today?
Good morning, Nandita. Good morning, everyone. I think, the markets are they are like recovering from lower levels. It was like the level where the market was deciding whether to break down or to recover from those levels. And eventually, yesterday, we saw a smart recovery from lower levels. In fact, it was broad-based recovery. PSU banks failed to perform in that, but private banks recovered from lower levels, and in fact, they outperformed to the PSU banks, which was the missing trend since last so many weeks. So we are of the view that the markets are preparing to move towards the levels of 18,200, but the entire setup of the market is indicating us that the markets are still in the range. Till the markets are not crossing 18,300, we are going to see range-bound sort of activity, and we need to be more and more stock-specific. In case if there is any correction in today's date, then again close to 18,000, 17,950, the market is having excellent support. From there, again, we are expecting some rebound, and based on the option statistics, I think now 17,900, 950 is going to act as major support, and 18,150, 200 as a resistance.
Right. Well, range-bound trade is expected going forward. Let's break it down to some stocks now. First stock on my list is ITC. It's supposed to acquire 100% stake in yoga bar operator Sproutlife. This acquisition is expected to be completed by the mid of February. Now, if you look at the share price, it hasn't really done much over the last 1 month or so. It shed somewhere around 2.5%. Given the fact that the earnings season is on in full swing, HUL kicks off earnings for the consumption pack tomorrow. What is, and in fact, we are expecting some kind of weakness when it comes to rural demand. What is the outlook on some of these stocks like HUL and ITC going forward?
Yeah, I think before the announcement of the budget, most of the time we see some activity in those stocks which are interconnected to the rural demand or some rural spending, like two-wheeler stocks or maybe a few FMCG companies like ITC. Such type of stocks actually they recovered from their immediate lower levels. And yesterday also we saw some activity in Hindustan Lever as well as in ITC and Britannia. We are of the view that ITC is having excellent support close to 325, 328 levels. And from there, it was like, from there it recovered yesterday, but since last few days, it was holding above those levels. So again, the formation is more or less similar to the Nifty. It is now heading towards the levels of at least 345, 350 in the near term.
Sure, those are the levels to watch out for on ITC. Moving on to the next stock, Rail Vikas Nigam. It has emerged as the L1 bidder for orders worth 1,000 crore rupees from Surat Metro Rail project. When you talk about the railway stocks, they've seen a stellar up move in the run-up to budget. In fact, Rail Vikas has rallied as much as 140% over the last 6 months. Only recently, maybe yesterday, it came under pressure. So, given the fact that there are expectations of a higher capital outlay for the railway basket in the budget, we've seen a stellar up move come in. So, do you expect these stocks to now come under a fair bit of profit booking ahead of budget, or do you expect this run to continue going into budget?
I think, now we are very close to the announcement of the budget. So, I think we need to be very, very careful because they have already rallied from their lower levels. And in fact, if we go through with the entire pattern of the stock, then the stock has made a double top sort of formation close to 82 levels. Till the stock is not crossing 85, which is the psychological level for the stock, till the stock is not crossing the level of 85, we are expecting stock to remain under some profit-taking pressure. And in case if there is any rebound from current levels, then we should look for taking some profit on the positions.
Sure. Shrikant, the next share or stock on my list is V-Mart. The shares were fairly upbeat in yesterday's session. We saw gains to the tune of 3%. Now, there has been some fund action in this stock. Amansa Holdings has picked up additional 1.5% stake in the company. Would you advise investors to buy into some of these retail shares now?
I think, see, these are the stories which can get played out in the long run. And if they are available at their important support levels, we should be buyer. Because finally, most of the time, these consumption stocks do really well in the long run. Even if we go through with the entire pattern of last 3-4 months, then it is trading somewhere close to these levels, and most of the time whenever the stock was somewhere close to 2800 levels, we saw some block deals, and yesterday also there was like block deal, and the big fund has bought. So based on the overall formation, we are of the view that we should be buyer even at current levels if there is a medium to long term view. With a short term view, I think 2800 is going to act as very good support for it. On the higher side, 3300 is the level to watch out for.
Right. The next one I want to speak about is Coforge. LIC has raised stake in the company, has bought additional stake to the tune of 0.06%. What is your view on some of these mid-cap IT firms going forward, Srikanth? If you look at the shares, they have, over the last 5 days, they've just lost about 2% or thereabouts, and haven't really done much in the last 1 month, these shares. How would you advise investors to play this one going forward?
See, like for IT companies, the street was like completely cautious in the announcement of the result from TCS, Infosys and Wipro. But now there is a little bit comfort, and maybe some selective investors look for adding some selective companies. But I think the broader, the street will get bullish only after the entire pack when they will announce their numbers. I think we should be buyer in select companies. In that, we like Coforge. We like Emphasis BFL. For other IT, mid-cap IT companies, we need to wait and we need to see that how they are reporting their quarterly numbers. But based on the technical formation and based on their past performance, Emphasis and Coforge should be even we should look for buying even at current levels. 3918, 3920 is the current level for Coforge. From here, we are expecting stock to move towards the levels of 4200 or 4300. It is forming some double bottom sort of formation, which is positive. And the similar sort of formation we are witnessing in Emphasis BFL. In fact, Nifty IT index is forming is forming double bottom formation, which is indicating us that gradually we are going to see upward activity in the entire space. So we should be buyer in select companies.
Well, let's now get in some of our viewer queries on board, and the first query is coming in from Satya, and he has a query on Aditya Birla Fashion. He's bought these shares at a price of 275 rupees a piece. Now, this stock has been in a steady downtrend. Over the past 1 month, it has lost somewhere around 15% or thereabouts. He wants to know whether he can average average the stock at current levels, and if at all he can, at what level should he look at averaging Aditya Birla Fashion. I beg your pardon.
I think Aditya Birla Fashion was trading around 350, 360 levels. From there, all the way, it has broken to the level of 261. And in fact, in the previous quarter, when the company has announced its number, that time it was around 350. So one thing is very clear that after the disappointment on the quarterly numbers, we saw this profit taking, and we saw a substantial rally in the stock in last 1.5 years. So we are of the view that now it is in that particular corrective mode, but around this 250, 260 levels, the stock is having excellent support. If we consider the data of last 1 year, then most of the time close to 250, 260 levels, we saw some buying interest in the stock. And after hitting those levels, it recovered back to the levels of 320, 325. So at this level, certainly we should look for adding some positions if there are like any purchases of the higher rates. But even if there is a short-term to medium-term view, then I think these are the levels to watch out for and to buy for.
Sure, I hope that answers your query, Mr. Satya. The next query comes in from Suryakanta Mahapatra, and he wants to know your views on Gujarat Gas. Now, these shares have also lost somewhere around 15% over the last 1 month or so. How would you advise investors to play Gujarat Gas now?
Yeah, I think that technically the stock is weak. It is forming lower top, lower bottom formation. And in the short run, because of sudden change in the crude prices, and there is like a lot of uncertainty about the overall performance of the crude prices in the near term. So maybe that is the reason the stock is under pressure, and also like it is completely under the control of government regulations. So most of the time, all such type of sectors and stocks, they fails to perform when there is like specific expectations. So it is better to stay away from taking any position. But if there are any investments, then I think at these levels, one should look for holding them with a medium to long term view, because these are the lower levels, and from here the stock can easily come back to the levels of 540, 550. So there one can look for exiting, and maybe they can look for adding some other stocks, maybe Reliance Industries or some other stocks.
Watch out for levels of 550 on Gujarat Gas. So now, next one is coming in on Gland Pharma. Maheshwar Banu has written in, and he holds 200 shares at 1930 rupees a piece. Now, he wants to know whether he should continue to hold for the medium term or not. Now, he's making quite a bit of loss. The shares are now at somewhere around 1400 levels. They've lost somewhere around 10% over the last 5 days. What should he do with this counter?
Yeah, it is like quite surprising that the stock is not stopping. It is falling from the levels of 4,000 and almost 4,500, and now it is at 1,800 something. I think the way there is talk on the recession or maybe recessionary pressure in next few months, we are of the view that in that particular scenario, pharma stocks most of the time performs because it's a defensive sector. And the way the stock has fallen, I think it is going to rebound because it is now into oversold zone. Also, a few pharma companies have started a recovery sort of pattern from their immediate lower levels. So we are of the view that now, instead of booking huge losses, it is better to hold on for next few months. If there is any rebound, then close to the cost levels, we should look for exiting out of long positions.
Well, hold on for some time before looking to exit. That's the call. He also has another query, and this one is on Bajaj Finserv. Now, these shares have lost somewhere, in fact, nearly halved over the last 6 months. How should investors play Bajaj Finserv now?
I think these are, Bajaj Finserv, Bajaj Finance, the stocks are, I would say the companies are really doing well in terms of their overall earnings. But because of their expensive valuations, I think they are finding selling pressure whenever there is a weakness in the market. I think they are very close to their important support areas. And again, if there is a medium-term view and if the market really starts recovering from these levels and manages to surpass 18,300, then we can expect good amount of short covering in Bajaj Finserv as well as Bajaj Finance. But if the market remains weak, then they are going to fall furthermore by 10%. So if there is a medium to long-term view, then certainly hold on to it, because good companies, good earnings, they are going to do really well. But in the short run, because of the overall weakness in the market, we may see some selling pressure at higher levels.
Well, hold on to Bajaj Finserv on a medium-term basis. The next query I would like to take up is from Tushar Ji, and he wants to know your views on Federal Bank. Now, the bank reported a stellar set of numbers in the third quarter. Is it the time to buy into these shares?
I think, again, the logic is the same, that already the stock has shown good amount of rally from the lower levels. It was around 120 some few days back. And before the announcement of the result, the stock was around 140 to 143. So maybe it will take some time to recover back, because now we are seeing some profit taking in all these mid-sized banks. It will take some time, but again, with a medium-term view, we are bullish. We are expecting stock to move towards 160, and any correction from current levels will be an opportunity to buy. So the strategy should be to buy on dips instead of taking any breakout trades.
Sure. Well, with that, we've come to the end of our query segment. But Shrikant, before I let you go, leave us with some of your top picks for today.
I think, these metal stocks should do well, because there we are seeing some reversal pattern. In that specifically, we like Vedanta because it's a diversified company. Currently, it is around 318, 317. We are expecting stock to move towards 330. It's a buy at current levels with the stop loss at 313. And the other stock which we like is Hero Motors. And the reason is the same, that before the announcement of the budget, most of the time we see activity in two-wheelers. In that, we like Hero Motors. 27.60-65 was the closing. Stock can move towards the next level of 28.30 or 50. We can keep stop loss somewhere close to 27.30.
Well, Vedanta and Hero Moto are the picks, are the stocks that Shrikant is recommending for today. Well, with that, thanks a lot for joining in this morning, Shrikant, and sharing your thoughts with us. Well, with that, we've come to an end, to the end of this edition of Morning Trade. But don't go anywhere, because coming up next is Opening Bell.
1st February 2023, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the last full union budget before 2024 elections. India's most awaited financial event comes in the midst of global slowdown, inflation, liquidity tightening, geopolitical tensions, and re-emergence of COVID-19. Will India look to fire up its manufacturing? Will India build a moat against global uncertainties? What will the budget have for the middle class? Watch the complete coverage of Budget 2023. Real-time analysis, expert takes all day on Moneycontrol. Log on to www.moneycontrol.com for more.